Sebald, who probably knows as much about this kind of racing as any man on earth, I would imagine. And Bill, we've got next to us a couple of props, and I would imagine that that's a lot like a gear ratio in a race car, and the selection has got to be really critical, especially as you get ready to go into this 50-lap feature.
Yes, it is. It's very critical of the propeller design, and the pitch is just like changing the gear ratio or a different tire compound. We actually have different gear ratios for the lower unit, too, but it's a combination. It's just like when Andretti goes out and uses a certain tire compound for a certain temperature, and in our case, we would use a certain propeller design for a certain length course. Different water requires a different propeller. You take salt water, is a little heavier than fresh water. So it has a lot to do with it. We have a couple propellers here. Basically, we use a 3-blade stainless steel propeller, which is actually razor sharp, because when you figure that these are turning at about 10,000 RPM, the sharpness is very important. You get the numbers are stamped on the back, which are the diameter and the pitch. And
the pitch being the angle here on the blade, is that right?
The pitch is the number of inches that the propeller will travel through the water in one revolution.
Okay.
So this particular propeller is a 16-inch pitch. So if you spun that one revolution like that, it would travel 16 inches.
Okay.
Okay? And this is a 17 pitch. So that would travel 17 inches. So that's naturally going to go faster if you can pull it at the proper RPM, because you are trying to get the engine into its power band, which on these particular engines is between 6,500 and 9,500.
Well, I'm sure Bill Sebald's knowledge of propellers is just one of the reasons he is on the pole as we scan the finalists here at the Champ Boat Grand Prix. There's his young son, Mike Sebald, and the orange boat of Welchman Jonathan Jones.
Also, John Hill from the United Kingdom. Everybody lined up and pretty much in good shape. The only boat that we were able to find that had any problems prior to the race was Steve D'Souza's, and Steve caught up with his crew earlier.
Well, one of the biggest thrashes I found in the pits is the number 94 boat, Steve D'Souza. And Steve, when I was by here earlier, there was one spark plug per cylinder. Now there's two.
Well, I've got my super crew from Seattle down here, and we're dead off the beach over there with our second engine. So we had a quick meeting, and they decided, well, it's either change motors or do something, because they didn't want to see that again. So
it's called blow or go.
That's it. So they just said, the hell with it, and away they went, and there's elbows and then wrenches flying, and this is what they've come up with, and I think we're going to make it. I was kind of doubtful, to be honest with you.
Well, if it all works and it makes a lot more power, then you're going to have to adjust with the trim and style and everything else.
I'll adjust. If I don't adjust, I'll get a foot in the butt when I come back from these guys.
Good luck to you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
They're having fun, I think.
Well, so far so good, Steve. They got the boat in the water, and D'Souza's on the line. Everybody lined up. That white flag there, when it falls, everybody goes. The driver's watching it. The flag drops, and they're off. 300 horsepower each in a terrific drag race to the first 10.
I'll tell you, the start of this kind of racing, Brock, as exciting as I've seen anywhere. And look who anticipated the start beautifully. That again is Mickey Garrett going around the first 10. And we've got trouble in turn number 1. Contact made between number 38, Tom Knorr, and the orange boat of Jonathan Jones. And it looks like Knorr has left his cowling back in turn number 1. But the race continues, Brock.
Well, Steve, remember those two guys ran 1-2 in the first heat, and that's going to hurt them badly. As we watch Mike Sebald running in second place, he was clear of that little action in turn number 2, and right now is hard after Mickey Garrett, who leads it. His father, Bill Sebald, in third place.
That's right. Bill just moved into that third place spot. So it's Mickey Garrett and the two Sebalds. That's the top 3 as we complete the first of 50 laps.
With a whole bunch of boats out there, this stretch of water is going to get mighty turbulent. So Mickey Garrett's got the advantage right now because it's smooth water up ahead for him. But on his tail, the Sebald family, both of them, Bill and Mike.
That's Mike on the left of your screen, but here comes Pop. These two, there's no real teamwork involved. They just get out there and bash heads, whether it's against the competition or each other. And it looks like the senior Sebald, he does take over second position.
Well, look at him run in tight, and it looks like he came off that corner like a rocket. Mickey Garrett is really going to have to run hard to stay up on Bill Sebald. Bill has got the outside outside line, all kinds of speed. That thing looks like the fastest boat on the track. Look at him jump that wake, Steve.
And now he is on the inside. An ideal position around the next bend to try to nail Mickey Garrett. He did it to him in the heat race, you'll recall. Came over that wake onto the inside before Garrett even knew what happened.
Mickey Garrett, though, doing a good job, but Seabolt just gnawing away at him. He's coming around. He seems to be able to handle him on the outside and has the stability to move in and out of his wake, which is pretty extraordinary. We haven't seen much of that today.
Well, he is an extraordinary driver, Brock. Very few men that control a boat like this the way he does. The boat wants to fly, it wants to flip, it wants to do everything wrong, and he makes it look stable. He's pulling up right alongside Mickey Garrett, but cannot make the pass there.
And there you see Bill Seabolt riding right on the ragged edge, right outside Mickey Garrett's wake, getting ready to make that pass, moving in, running almost on his bow. Right now, he'll come off this corner, and let's see on a big wide sweep if he can take the lead.
Indeed he does. He just outpowers him. Even though he took the high line, that propeller is perfectly geared for these water conditions and the tune of that engine. And there is the crew for the Seabolt organization. Give a thumbs up to father and son, who are now running first and third with Mickey Garrett again between the two of them.
Well, this is a repeat of the second heat, but this time Mickey Garrett goes a little wide, and Mike Seabolt ducks down low. So it could be that is going to be a break for the Seabolt family.
And here you can see nearest the pin, the boat of Tom North, missing the forward cowling. In fact, there on the outside running fifth is Jonathan Jones, the boat he tangled with on the very first turn of the first lap of this race. In fact, let's go back and look again and see if we can ascertain exactly what caused that mishap. There is Jones running along in fifth, but this was lap one, turn one, Brock.
And I'll tell you what, the surf was up, a whole bunch of rooster tails and boats funneling down into that very tight corner, and in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, you can see that fiberglass cowling of Nor's boat flying after he made contact with Jonathan Jones's boat. Another angle here, you're going to see Tom Nor's boat get a reducing job, courtesy of Jonathan Jones's boat. A little contact there. Fortunately, though, both boats stayed upright in this incident and managed to keep on going. In fact, Jones is up among the leaders. You can only wonder, Steve Evans, how close he'd be to the Seabolts and to Garrett if that incident hadn't slowed him down.
Well, even with that bit of bad luck, you see Jonathan Jones, boat number 12, the orange boat, closing on Buck Thornton to take over, hopefully, the fourth spot.
There's your leader, Bill Seabolt, out front and running strong. Just blew past Mickey Garrett to take that lead and looks as if he's in an indomitable position at this particular point, presuming that boat and that highly tuned engine stay together.
And there is the second place runner, Mike Seabolt, and right back in Mike's wake is the third place runner, Mickey Garrett.
So the Seabolts from St. Louis, Missouri, the greatest name in this particular kind of competition, running their own hulls, as are a number of the other competitors in this race, just dominating this race in a 1-2 position.
Well, I tell you, this water is trickier now, Brock, than it has been all day. And you heard Bill Seabolt say that the wind is really worse coming down the front straightaway than the back. And here you see the boat is lighter coming down that front straightaway into the wind.
Well, you can imagine his thumbs working those trim buttons on his steering wheel right now. That'll probably be a part of his body that gets most tired, just his thumb.
Could be, and I tell you, Brock, in this kind of water and wind conditions, they may be adjusting the trim even more than 20 times a lap. So the Seabolt, Bill and Mike run 1 and 2, followed by Mickey Garrett, Buck Thornton, and the Welshman, Jonathan Jones. There's a lot more racing to come from the Champ Boat Grand Prix in Madison.
Watching the Welsh racing champion, Jonathan Jones, trying to make up ground on Bill and Mike Seabolt as he is lying in 5th place here in the Champ Boat Grand Prix in Madison, Indiana. Jones, as you recall, had a bad start, bounced off Tom Nohr on the first turn and slowed him up badly, but now he's on a roll, Steve Evans, and it looks like he's making up time on the leader.
Indeed he is. Jonathan Jones coming off of 2 big Grand Prix victories in a row at Bristol and Augusta. And here's the guy who's chasing Buck Thornton, and he's making up some ground on Buck. Or make that water.
Well, I'll tell you what, either way, it's going to be hard. Look at this. Buck Thornton, just when he was getting ready to fight off a challenge to Jonathan Jones, comes to an immediate stop. He is dead in the water. That's a tough break for Buck. Been around this business for 23 years. A very successful real estate developer in the Atlanta area. It's not going to take any franks and beans off his table tonight, Steve, but I'm sure for a very competitive individual like Buck, he's plenty disappointed.
Well, all of these competitors have those boats running as hard as they possibly can because they know they have to try to catch this guy anytime they race anywhere in the world. Bill Siebold is out there leading this, and he has taken quite a pounding trying to keep that boat smooth, and it wants to fly. You can see there, if you don't trim that thing, it's going to blow over, as you said before, flip right over. He is flowing. Siebold is flowing with his hand in the air because the starter is displaying a red flag. This race, Brock, has been stopped, and it appears they're going to motion, and that's why there is a boat sunk upside down, stern first in the water. That is Rob Size, boat number 46. Now, the driver is already in the rescue boat. You talk about quick work. That rescue boat is especially designed with a kind of a tailgate that pulls down where they can just hoist the driver right in rather than over the side of the boat. And here comes Siebold and the rest of the field back to the dock. This race has been stopped temporarily.
Well, Rob Size is from Holland Landing, Ontario, up in Canada, and he built that hull, so whether he hit something or whether the thing just sank on its own, Rob can't blame anybody else. He is the guy that built it. Looks like he's okay, though, but he's got to be plenty disappointed, and that has to be a scary situation.
Well, Duke Waldrop, who is the director of the Champ Boat organization, was there checking him out, finds out that he is okay, so Duke goes back to business, and that business is going to be informing all of these guys of the format for the rest of this event.
Well, it's pretty obvious that Rob had dumped that boat and took the cowling and the superstructure off, but it's a testimony to how strong these hulls are that it still looks like it's pretty well intact. But Rob Sive had himself a very close call, and in accordance with professional powerboat racing, brought the race to a halt when he went into the water. Steve's with him.
Rob Size thanking the emergency team here. No one does it better than the Powerboat Association. And you look hale and hearty considering what you went through.
Well, I got thrown out of the boat clear, so I was all right. Just the water.
Did the steering break away as it's engineered to do, or was that necessary?
Yes, it did.
But the first thing they were concerned with in you, too, was the lower legs and the knees and the things that tend to get banged up first.
I said I had a bruise, so they just wanted to make sure that was all right. Yeah.
What caused the incident?
Just went through somebody's waist, and the boat didn't set right, and then when it did, it hit a wave, and it tripped.
Well, let's hope the boat's in as good a shape as you are.
I don't think so from what I saw.
He's fine, Brock.
And he's also right about the boat. As we finally see the right sponson at the stern of the boat, it is just ripped apart. There's going to be some very, very expensive repairs to this particular craft, if it's repairable at all. Brock is right now with Bill Siebold discussing the restart.
Bill, just a routine refueling?
Well, we don't know what they're going to do with the race. If they deduct the laps we ran, we'll be all right.
Otherwise, any concerns about fuel consumption?
It'll be close. We know that, so we're just not going to take a chance.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, Brock, we don't know about the fueling situation, but we have been told that the laps run will count. In fact, now an official coming up telling Bill that he is not going to be allowed to add gas to that boat. But it shouldn't be a factor because the laps will count that have been run, and we'll be back for the remainder of the laps at the Champ Boat Grand Prix.
We're about ready to restart the Champ Boat Grand Prix here at Madison, Indiana. Bill Siebold, son Mike right next to him, Mickey Garrett in third. But I'll tell you what, Steve Evans, I think Jonathan Jones is the big winner. Remember, he had the problem on the first lap of the feature, but right now he's made up all that distance he's lost, and he's right next to the leader.
And let's keep an eye on that orange boat. Let's see if he can take advantage of this situation as they again thunder down towards the first pin. Now this is a continuation, take two of the Champ Boat Grand Prix finale.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Mickey Garrett ought to be in drag racing. He has blown them off on every start so far today, and once again leads it coming down the back straightaway. So Mickey Garrett, if nothing else, is sure the quickest guy off the line.
No question about that. In fact, this is about the distance that he enjoyed in the early going of the first half of this final. But Bill Siebold was able to overtake it within a couple of laps. Let's see if it happens again.
Well, it could be that Mickey has geared that boat for a lot of acceleration off the corners, whereas the Siebolds are working for top speed, because it seems as if Mickey has problems holding off Bill Siebold on the straightaway.
Well, here is Bill Siebold. He is running hard in the second spot, and just behind him, there comes the orange boat of Welshman Jonathan Jones. Fresh off of two big powerboat victories. If there's such a thing as momentum in this kind of racing, Jonathan's got it. Look at that, Brock. He has taken second spot away from Bill Seabold. It's got to make you wonder if maybe Seabold's boat is not performing.
Or if Jonathan Jones' crew found some magic formula on that stop, because he is fair flying, and the next victim could be Mickey Garrett up there in the lead.
Indeed he could. You see Mickey Garrett cutting that pin very tight, and I agree with you, Brock. I think he's got, for lack of a better term, a low gear on the back of that motor. On the foot of that motor is a prop that really comes off the dock and around those pins, but doesn't allow him to hit the tremendous top speed that Jones and Seabold have. So it's a matter of preference, really. And they're going a little wider than he normally does, was Mickey Garrett, and that could have been an advantage for Jonathan Jones.
A couple of interesting manufacturer rivalries at work here. Both Garrett and Jones are in Burgess hulls. They are the arch rivals of the Seabold family, who also build hulls, as we said before. And there's the leader of that team, and now being overtaken by Englishman John Hill for fourth spot. You know, Steve, it's got to be that Bill Seabold is just, that boat's not working right.
Well, we suspicioned that when Jonathan Jones would climb as easily as he did. But Seabold certainly has not given up. He's going to hang out there as long as he can for as much money and points as he can garner.
But right now, steadily falling back way off the pace, and probably will continue to fall back. So Bill Seabold knows he's got some problems, and I'm sure his object right now is just carry on and finish. But right now, the race is being dominated by the Welshman, the Arcadian boat at Burgess Hall, the number 12 boat being driven by Jonathan Jones, and he is on his way, perhaps, or at least he's got thoughts of winning his third big race in a row.
Well, Mickey Garrett hopes to upset those plans, and Garrett right now, you can see, has a pretty good lead, about 50 yards or so. So Garrett is out there just hugging those pins as tight as he can. The fellow from Lakeland, Florida, his dad hauls the boat all over the country. As Mickey has to fly home and work for the telephone company, his wife always on hand lending any support she can. A nice bunch of people.
They sure are, and run a very clean operation, and I'm sure that Mickey is looking ahead, but not behind him. If he had rear view mirrors in that boat, he could see an orange hull right on his tail. Jonathan Jones slowly moving up on him. So this is going to be an interesting finish here.
Oh, indeed it is. And I have to admire the men that drive these boats, Brock. Just the slightest wake from another boat, a gust of wind can blow you over backwards, pitch you out of the boat, maybe over that bridge you see back there. I mean, this has got to be racing.
It sure is, as we watch Mike Seabold in the third spot trying to overtake this man, Jonathan Jones, who is also in hot pursuit of Mickey Garrett. And Steve, Mickey hit a buoy, I think.
He just steered that buoy, Brock, and I'll tell you what, it's going to cost him a $100 fine. You see it right there stuck to one of the pickle forks on that hydro. Worse than that, there is a one-lap penalty. He knows all of that. Your new leader is Jonathan Jones. Maybe he will make it 3 in a row.
What a tough break for Mickey Garrett. A tough break. I guess he took that chance because he was tucking in against that pin real tight, and a little bit too tight, as it turns out. So there is your new leader, Jonathan Jones. And I wonder, yeah, Garrett probably is going to slow down. He knows he got caught. It's pretty hard to argue with the judges when he got the buoy sticking on the hull of your boat. So he's in trouble, and way back now.
Well, the $100 fine is really to buy a new buoy. That's just about what they cost. And he's got to be looking out at that thing saying, "You are not my friend, you orange piece or whatever."
So Jonathan Jones goes on to take the lead. Mickey Garrett, that doesn't even match the hull. You know, it's kind of a clash of colors. Make it even worse.
Well, you're right, though. He's getting off as well. The boat's not going to want to handle right. He's even got a milk bottle along to the ride there that marks the buoy. So I'll tell you, a beautiful weekend has come to a kind of a disappointing end here for Mickey Garrett. And you see another one of the Seabold boats just flying by him.
I think the good sport, though, that Mickey is, he's just going to back it down and ride around in the inside, let the guys who have a chance to win carry on at full bore. So Jonathan Jones leads it. Mike Seabold hot on his tail.
Reputation for being plenty tough when they have to get the job done. Well, in that orange boat is a man from Wales, Jonathan Jones, and he is leading the Champ Boat Grand Prix here in Madison, Indiana, Brock.
He sure is, Steve, but it's not a perfect day from the lads from the UK, because John Hill from England England is in the pits now. He has had an engine failure. As you can see, his crew is working hard on that big 300 horsepower Mercury motor. We don't know quite what the problem is, but it looks as if John Hill is out for the day. The boat is up on the trailer, and I guess they're going to pack it up for the next event. Well, that isn't the only DNF that we've had today. Remember, we saw Buck Thornton dead in the water. Steve was caught up with him in the pit.
Buck, I know it pains you to be out of this race this early. What happened?
Going to this first turn on about the 10th lap, we broke a crank, and we thought our throttle had come loose, and evidently what happened is when the crank broke, it threw our throttle linkage off, and we had hoped that when we fixed the throttle linkage, we'd be back in the race. We were running good. It is a real disappointment. The first time we wore this boat. We'll be back.
Well, nothing is more serious than a broken crank.
Well, unless it's a broken boat.
About as terminal as they get, but Buck still manages to smile. Thank you. Well, the biggest surprise to be a DNF is the man who has ruled this sport for so many years, Bill Seabold. In fact, there you see him unstrapping his helmet, and Brock's there.
Tough break for Bill Seabold, who appeared to have this race in hand until the restart. I'm taking a look at the engine, and we trying to figure out what the problem is. Bill, any idea what the problem was?
We dropped a cylinder. I don't know whether it's electrical or fuel injection. I'm not sure.
Was it right after the restart? You seemed to have the race well in hand until you came in.
Well, I felt it. Something happened on that last corner when they stopped the race, and I was afraid of that. It just never went right on the start at all.
And the attrition continues. Here is 84, the West German, Michael Werner. His boat is at the dock and obviously out of competition. But there's one guy from Wales who could care less because he is out there just dominating this. That is Jonathan Jones in the bright orange number 12. You know, I was talking to him earlier, Brock Yates, about the competition in Europe and how I assumed it would be tougher there. He said, not so. When you've got guys like the Seabolds and Mickey Garrett, he says, I honestly think the racing is better here. Maybe not as well known, but better and safer.
Well, that's a real compliment for the way this event or an event of its kind are organized. As we watch Jones flying down the front straightaway, and that is Pop cheering his son Mike on, trying in his best, as best he can from the pit, to get his son up closer to Jonathan Jones. Mike Seabold now riding in second, maybe 10 or 15 boat lengths behind Jonathan Jones. But I don't think, Steve, at this particular point in the race, he's narrowing that distance by much. But remember, we saw Jonathan Jones look like he was totally out of this race on the first lap, and now he's leading it by a big margin. So things can really change here very quickly.
Well, they have a way of doing that. And here is Chris Bush. Now, that is the boat number 1, and he has currently moved up to the 3rd place. Part of that has been good performance, and part of it has been attrition. Guys like Seabold and Hill falling out. Now, all of a sudden, he was looking back over his left shoulder for something there, Brock. Not liking the feel of the boat, maybe.
Well, it could be, or maybe he's got a little look at Steve D'Souza, who's back there in 4th place. But remember, Steve is 1 lap down, so he's not probably going to be a major factor, although it could be that Chris doesn't know that.
Well, Chris is on that same Acadian team with Jonathan Jones. He's been powerboat racing for about 10 years, but this is his first season in the champ boat. In fact, he'll race anything with wheels or props on it. Rocks, snowmobiles, motorcycles, anything.
Yes, right. And right now, his mind is totally occupied with powerboat racing as he snaps through the turn and comes down the front straightaway. Well, there's Steve D'Souza currently running in 4th place. Remember, they put a whole new motor on the back of that boat after the first heat, and it looks like Steve's running quite a bit better than he was, although still well down from the 3 leaders.
Well, I'm sure the guys that all pitched in on kind of a Hail Mary pit stop with this particular boat preparing that other motor are plenty pleased with his performance. In fact, right now, there is D'Souza passing Michael Werner. Werner, I was wrong, Brock. He isn't out of the race. He fixed it at the dock and got right back in it.
Although he's well down in the standings, and of course Steve D'Souza is out of it as well, being a lap down from the leader, Jonathan Jones. So the only man that really has a prayer of catching Jones is Mike Seabold. As you can see, maybe he's 20 boat lengths back, but seems to be edging up on him a little bit, Steve.
I don't know if Seabold has just been holding back or it's the cheering from his dad on the dock or what. But look at this. He is close up dramatically on Jonathan Jones. If Jonathan is not using everything he's got, he better start using it.
Well, these guys really haven't much of a way to tell who's behind them unless they take a peek across to the straightaway beyond on the other side of the race course. And I'm sure that Jones has no real idea that Seabold has moved up as close as he has. I wonder whether these guys ought to use rear view mirrors or not. Seriously. Remember we heard one of the guys say he didn't know anybody was that close to him. So anyway, Jones, I'm sure, driving it just as hard as he can. I don't think also with a very highly tuned two-cycle engine like these Mercury outboards are, I don't think he can get let off the throttle a whole lot. I think you got to run him just about flat out.
Now here goes Jonathan Jones lapping John Mish, the New Yorker. Also, Mike Seabold will do the same to that gold-colored boat. He'll blow right on by.
Good race here. Jonathan Jones just skating off of that turn. Here comes Seabold, tucked down inside, up on the plane. Notice that trim, the bow of that boat come up. They call them tunnel house because it's just a tunnel of air that runs underneath those two sponsons. Two little hulls and a lot of air are all these boats ride on.
You know what they say, Buck? They say that the area of the boat that's in the water when it is planed perfectly like that is about the size of a handkerchief.
And that in the little top that Bill Seabold told us, of course, is revving about 10,000 RPM. Just all the numbers associated with these boats are phenomenal. Hard to believe.
And look at that boat wants to fly. He got on the trim button fast that time.
He sure did. As we watch Jonathan Jones, and he's trimmed out beautifully. Notice the boat doesn't seem to be flying anywhere near as much as...
Brock, we have got a problem. We have got one upside down and in the water, as we saw before. That is probably going to stop the race. Chris Bush from St. Paul, Minnesota, flipped his boat. He is okay. He's got both hands in the air to signify that he's all right. And there it is, the red flag. Now, this is going to be interesting. With two stops already, two red flags for flipped boats. What's going to happen next? Stay with us. We'll all find out together. And you got to know that there's a meeting of officials going on right now here in Madison. Anytime you see a race driver with a checkered flag in his hand, you can rest assured he has won the race. Yep, that is the decision. The race is over. After two flipped boats, two red flags, they have run enough laps for it to be considered complete. The winner is, from Wales, Jonathan Jones. In second place, and he was closing rapidly. He's probably not real happy with the decision, but that's the rule. That was Mike Seabold. And the man waving the flag has now won 2 consecutive U.S. races. Brock's there.
So here comes your winner. Jonathan Jones from Wales. Second in a row for the young man. Took the lead on the restart, and a sensational effort on his part. Handing back the checkered flag, he climbs out of the boat. Unhooks everything, helmet off. Get a quick word with him when it's over. John, congratulations.
Thanks very much. It's the sort of race where anything can happen, you know. 50 laps, it's a long race, and you just really, you know, you just can't afford to take any chances. If you try to push things a little bit too much, then you make mistakes.
Were you surprised you could get past Seabold as easily after the restart?
Yeah. In the first race, somebody bumped into the side of me, and I lost about 6 or 7 positions, and I was really annoyed. And then somebody overturned, and we got back on the dock again. And I'm well pleased, you know. I had a much, much better start. And I was behind Mickey Garrett for a while, and I think I just had the edge on him. It would have taken a long time, but it's gradually gaining on him, and did it in the end, you know.
The boat felt good?
Yes, no problem. Just before the start, we had a little bit of damage on the side, but just took a bit of tape on it. I mean, it was nothing much, and it felt really good. It's performing well. We've won I won the Bristol Grand Prix about a month ago, which I was really pleased to win. And then we came to Augusta 2 weeks ago, and I won that, and now this today. I mean, I just can't believe it. I'm over the moon.
Well, we're very proud of you. An excellent race. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.